Got it.
Damn, dude.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, Ben?
Yeah.
Hey, man, just about to say
So, okay, let's just get started then. I hold in my hand Richard Harness's book, Cosmos and Psyche, Intimations of a New Worldview. And anybody that has watched any of your videos, Ben, on guitaoist, knows that you're extremely erudite when it comes to astrological correlations and archetypal correlations and whatnot. And I think your channel is really an example of the kind of worldview that not only Tarnas talks about, but many others in the spiritual community. So maybe you could tell us how you found your way to astrology and what spoke to you about it.
great. I really appreciate that, man. That's really nice of you. Well, ironically, my sister in Aquarius in college, she got me into astrology. So then I started reading it a little more personally, looking at my whole chart. And then I found out I'm not just Aquarius. I got Mars in Aries, Jupiter in Pisces. But when I started to sort of see each individual planetary alignment, I was like, okay, this is correlating to my favorite writers, my favorite directors, stuff like that.
Right. So, what do you think about astrology, John? I know, John hasn't read Tarnas's book, but Tarnas has a unique take on it, which we can get into. But
I don't know his sign.
Tarnas's son or John's son?
John.
Yeah.
It's Leo. So
okay.
it's very consistent. I mean, but a lot of people criticize it. They go, "Oh, that's definitely me." But then they look and read some of the other signs. They go, "Well, that's me too." And that's one of the criticisms of these signs, kind of thing. I don't know how much. I don't know someone that throws it out. I look at it as something that's not just fun, but there's something else in it that I can't quite put my finger on that is interesting. And I tilt my head, as in I put it in the speculative bin, but I don't want to throw it out because I think it's always nice to retain that speculative side of yourself. And a lot of times that does mean contemplating about the stars and the cosmos. We had a guest on that was actually somewhat reverse that type of. He was in opposition to that type of spirituality.
Which guest?
And Zach, he's more like, that's nice and all, but it's more important to focus on what we got on here, on our rock, rather than looking out there. He's looking here and more in the now kind of thing. I mean, what's your perspective on that type of spirituality that says, let's just focus on what we got here and
practical, right?
Everything. It's very. We got grass. That's all we need. We don't need to look to the stars at all. I mean, he would very much be a critic of some of the things that you talk about.
Well, very interesting. Like I just kind of
it seems that way. Sorry. I don't want to speak for him directly, but it seems like he would do that.
Yeah, like you are Leo, perhaps. For all you know, you might have your moon in Aquarius, which is why you'd be attracted to Matt's personality or something.
Look into that.
But also, I mean, I think of aliens. I mean, I believe in aliens. So, what is their planetary alignment? What are the constellations to them? If their star, Leo is a whole other solar system, what's our star to them? Some other weird sign like Hercules? I mean, I find that you should, let me give you a full reading first, because daily horoscopes are so, monotonous and bigoted, biased, all those B words. Right. But give me your full birthday, I'll get back to you.
Well, yeah, like you said, Ben, it's kind of a naive or layman's view of astrology just to look at the sun sign as if that completely contains the person's personality, when really it's more about the aspects, right? The relationships between
you actually have Jupiter and your sun in Aquarius, just like Richard Tarnas. I didn't know if you knew that. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and it's the biggest one out there. So if it has any effect, then I could see your attraction to Tarnas.
Right.
How much of this is metaphorical thinking? How much of it is rational, logical thinking in your view? And where is a healthy blend kind of completely synergized? And is it like a balance we're looking for? I mean, what's your view on that?
Good question. James Randi, the big skeptic, I actually looked up his actual chart one day, and he has a majority of fire signs and earth signs. Now, these are go-getting, really impulsive, not so much intuitive and thought-provoking. So, in a sense, his chart is a chart of a skeptic.
Okay.
Right.
And I mean, he's not going to find that out because he's not going to look for astrology videos, But hopefully one day I'll get to meet him and talk about the psychic the challenge, and tell him about Nietzsche and Emerson's personal letters.
What about what John was getting at in his first comment, that astrology seems to you more like a speculative thing, and it probably you don't see how it could have any practical applications.
From my perspective, I don't think I've read as much as Ben here.
Right.
I have my own specialties, which Ben might come to me for and say I'm a speculative person in this type of whatever.
So
it does pertain to every day.
Right. Well, what would you say are the practical uses of the information from the stars? What can we and the planets?
It's not interesting. It's not so much that I try and predict the future, try and find out my job. When I read planetary alignments after a weird mood I have, I was like, whoa, the sun is exactly opposing Pluto right now. Right. So it's really sort of explaining certain stages of life. And when I read Nietzsche's, biography, still reading it, it's real thick. I'm looking up his personal alignments, and the actual transits I'm reading from books that were written 50 years ago are corresponding exactly to his letters, how he's feeling.
Right.
So it's very personal once you study it yourself. It can't be told.
Right.
Okay. When we see things that are obvious to skeptical positions, like what the moon's gravitational force can do to things like our oceans and tides, how much of that do we need to delve in deeper to really make a connection, like maybe one that you're talking about? And can the connection, do you think, come from just delving into that much more of a scientific kind of rational, standing back and just looking at the data or evidence and saying this is what's happening here? How much of that do you go with in terms of a skeptic position?
Scientifically, it's shaky because the presence of a knife will change the room, as opposed to a spoon. Matter does affect our subconscious, whether we really even see the spoon or not. There is no spoon. I'm just joking. But scientific, I don't think it's a gravitational pull. I don't think it's necessarily sunspots. It's just something, and if I knew, then I'd already be on the cover of Time.
Well, it's interesting that the way you explained how astrology is useful to you is that it's sort of a retrospective thing. You've been through a certain phase in your life, or you went through a certain mood last week, or what have you, and then you look at your chart and you see what sort of oppositions or conjunctions are going on with your planets, and it sort of puts into perspective the mood that you were just in. But it doesn't. Do you think that there is any merit to predicting the future in the sense that Tarnas tries to do in this book, where for example, is it a Uranus-Saturn opposition that's going on now that was also going on during the 60s, and that every time this opposition comes around, it tends to produce these sort of revolutionary attitudes and social atmospheres? Do you see any validity in that sort of prediction?
Oh, Richard Tarnas is actually one who specifically got me into specific planetary alignments. When he found out, Descartes had a quadruple conjunction, and he's like the founding father of philosophy. It's just, his evidence is just stupendous. I can't put that book down. But I do believe that we are experiencing that now, and I think it's more the day after tomorrow where we'll really get to see how much our mood was different, and in sort of a kind of historical pattern.
Right.
Fair enough. Let's see here. Ben, I understand you like theories that concern this upcoming kind of phenomenon of 2012. So I was wondering if you could kind of shed light on what is rational or what's an acceptable position for you, and when does it become, too much? And is there a line of too much, quote unquote, for you?
There definitely is too much. I think that's kind of the point of 2012 is this: there's so many various cultures who didn't know squat about each other, just happened to coincide in some 20th century date that they wouldn't get to experience. Like, we are living in the golden age, and no one knows what it means, but I do believe that it will involve not as sort of DNA evolution replication or something, but we will evolve beyond this monkey state. I don't think we'll just have day-to-day conversations. I really think we'll be sort of picking up the vibes of people more. Like, you know about auras, it's just going to be that, like, exponentially to 2012, I believe.
But is this something that you think can be rationally explained and defended, or is
Quantum physics, like,
with quantum physics?